Right, fuck this shit for a laugh. I don't know what was going with the audio. It kept bloody cutting out at the time.
I just assumed that was my bandwidth.
No, I was doing it. I don't know what was wrong. It was working. It was working absolutely swimmingly earlier on. But anyway, not to worry.
It's my presence.
It's probably your absolutely pants bandwidth, as you say. Anyway, Dave, how the hell are you?
I'm marvellous. How are you, sir?
Marvellous. I'm good. I'm all the better. Listen, thanks very much. Apologies for the slight delay. We had
I
a
had
relative.
relatives popped out of the blue, and I'm not going to lie, I now have extra beer, so.
Yeah, we had a relative problem, but then we're used to relative problems on my channel, so not to worry. So anyway, what would you say? Happy Christmas Eve, is it? Merry Christmas Eve? What the fuck do you say at
I
Christmas?
don't know, I've never even thought about that before.
No, me neither. Me neither.
Happy One Sleep to Go Day.
So yeah, thanks for joining Dave and I. This is, by the way, cheers. I've got a toffee apple cider. Lovely.
Oh, nice. I've got a Pepsi Max with lime.
Oh,
Not the most festive thing. It's lush, by the way. Absolutely lush. More stuff should have lime in it.
You do like a sort of you do like your various flavoured Coca-Colas and what have you. Are you Pepsi man?
Diet lemonade backup later on.
Yeah, this is. Did you say? I think you said to me, is this our fourth?
I believe.
Fourth Christmas Eve. Bloody hell! And it has indeed become a bit of a tradition.
It has indeed.
And that's what I think. I think that's what Christmas is all about traditions.
Absolutely. That would be my Christmas message yesterday. Well, not yesterday. Wednesday. That I shot last week. So look at me being organised at Christmas. That would be, even though they weren't initially, didn't initially have that naming convention. I think that's probably my 9th Christmas message.
Is it? Wow. How long have you been on YouTube for then, Dave?
I'll be on here 11 years in February. Shocking.
Seeing that, I'll be. When did I start? 2013. That'll be 8 years. Doesn't time fly?
Where does the time go? Yeah.
I know. It only seems like 12 months since we last did this. Mental, isn't it? What the hell? Anyway, yeah. Thanks for tuning in tonight, folks. We're just going to ramble, talk about Christmas, and probably go off on a tangent somewhere along the lines. We're not going to be on for hours, so don't worry. You've still got a chance to have a couple of beers and get a couple of mince pies. Though there again, you should indulge when you're listening to this shite. But anyway, I've got a couple of wee things that I want to talk about. One of the things being is myself and Lawnboyspost are going to give you the definitive Christmas movie. It's official. We are going to tell.
They're wrong. They have an idea, but they're wrong.
Anything that you've seen before, ignore. We are going to tell you what the definitive Christmas movie is. Before we start, so what we've done is, I told Dave, go away and have a wee think about your top 3, and then we're going to do it in reverse order, and then try and agree what the best one is. What would you say is the recipe for a Christmas film? Because I mean, we've all heard about, is Die Hard a Christmas film? Isn't it? Whatever. What would you say defines a Christmas film?
It's got to be funny. I say that, but then I guess you could say that A Christmas Carol is not particularly funny. But I do like a good Christmas. I think comedy lends itself to Christmas a lot easier and a lot better than sort of most things. I mean, even Die Hard has comedy in it. B, I think there's got to be somewhat of a redemption arc in there, if you know what I mean. Like a redemption arc of the main character, like, not just because of Scrooge.
Excuse me.
People like to see, like to see everything come good at the end, like to see a bastard become nice. And C, it's got to have snow. I know that's a bit of a cliche, but
it's got to have snow.
Not a Christmas movie without snow.
Could you imagine? As I'm right. Please correct me if I'm wrong. In Australia right now, are they not throwing shrimps onto the barbie at the moment? It's like it'll be like hot in Australia, is it not?
One of my subscribers on YouTube, Aussie Sneaker Freak, said he left a comment and I saw in my video about traditions, and he said traditions kind of go out the window in Australia because he said he'll be spending his in the pool because it's going to be 42 degrees. 42 degrees, because obviously their winter is now. Their winter is the summer, isn't it, for us?
Yeah.
So 42-degree Christmas. And I wonder if they still have snow on their Christmas cards, or do they have people in shorts with surfboards? I never stopped to think about
That's
it.
an interesting one. Would you ever I mean, I'll be honest. Years ago, people would say, "Yeah, we're going to go to, I don't know, go to Magaluf and spend the Christmas in Spain, whatever." And I always used to think to myself, "Nah, I would never want to do that. Christmas for me is about being in Old Blighty when it's freezing cold and it's whatever it is." However, I have, maybe because my personal circumstances have changed, I would quite happily contemplate a warm Christmas. Would that be something you would ever think about doing? Would you want to go abroad to the sun?
I wouldn't contemplate a warm Christmas, but I wouldn't have a problem going abroad because obviously, when I lived in Canada, it was -40 in the winter, so you had your cold covered, and B, it always not if, but always snowed at Christmas. And snow at Christmas, if it doesn't affect you, because obviously I live so close to work, I could just walk and I could walk underground. So if it doesn't affect you like that, snow at Christmas is fantastic.
How many times do you reckon there's been snow in the ground? I know technically from a betting, not that I'm a betting man, apparently from a betting point of view, it only has to have like one snowflake in the UK, and then it's turned as a white Christmas. I mean, how many Christmases can you recall?
Got to be one snowflake on the roof of the weather centre or the Met building, hasn't it? I think.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so it can be. So yeah, there's very because obviously you could earn big money, can't you, if you put a bet on it snowing at Christmas? But like, there's so many ways they can wriggle out the bet, because as far as I know anyway, it has to literally snow on the weather. I don't know if it's called the weather centre, but the main place in London where the head of all the because when you see like the weather people on the news and that, they're not actually the BBC or ITV, are they? They're from the Met office. So, but I can recall two Christmases, at least in England. One would have been round about, I think I just started driving, so it would have been round about maybe 93, 94. Christ alive, I've had a driving license for almost 30 years. And I remember this because we went to the local pub, the George and Dragon. How's that for a very British name? And I had a blue Mini, and I remember it because one of the people said, "Oh, did you paint the roof of your Mini?" And I went, "No, Lawrence, you plum, that's snow." And the other one would have been, there may have been some in between, but I could only remember these two. The other one would have been when I was incredibly young, and there's a picture of this somewhere downstairs where, I mean, really young, maybe 3, 4 or something. And I got a pedal police trike for Christmas.
I remember.
And I remember it because I took it outside in the garden. Well, my parents took me outside with it and tried to pedal, and it wouldn't pedal in the snow, so I started crying. So that's two I can remember. But again, like I said, whether or not that would have counted as a white Christmas because it didn't snow in London.
That's a bit pants, though. I mean, surely
they could do it. Sorry, carry on.
No, I was going to say, because London's obviously an extra few degrees warmer than everywhere else. I mean, it could be completely white up in bloody north of Scotland, and that.
Well, look at the moors and stuff. You know?
Exactly.
Also, couldn't they do it like a localized thing, like take your Ladbrokes in Bristol? If one snowflake hits the roof of Ladbrokes in Bedminster, it counts as a white Christmas.
Yeah, you'll get better odds down in London than you would up in like Glencoe or something, I think, or Inverness or Fort William.
It's like you said though, it's right, because I mean, if you ever watch the weather down here, obviously you are aware because you live in Scotland, but I always find it fascinating when you watch the weather down here, and then basically in the Highlands they've got their own different weather front practically. It's practically Arctic when it gets to the winter.
So yeah, somebody can maybe Google that. What is the exact definition of a white Christmas? I can't actually recall. I mean, I know there's definitely been some white Christmases, but You know what? It's probably one of these things. It's a bit like when you think back to the 1970s, you automatically assume every summer you had like 3 months of like 90 degrees.
Yes, what do you
The
say?
reality
That's
was
exactly
probably
what you
nothing
think.
like that. You probably had like the 6 days in June, and that was it. I don't
Everyone
know.
always
Yeah,
goes, climate change? Climate change? What's climate change? When I were a lad in the 70s, it was always baking hot. And aircon hadn't been invented yet.
so anyway, to kind of get back to what we're talking about, yeah, if somebody can let us know what defines a white Christmas. Top 3 films. I don't know how you found this. I was actually wide awake last night, and in fact, I woke up about 6 o'clock this morning, and that was it. I was sitting thinking, what am I going to put in my list, and it was changing, and I'm like, oh shit, I remember that one. Have you got your top 3?
I got my top three.
Your top 3, right?
Two of
What
them,
one?
two of them were the same subject, which, well, let's be honest, it's Christmas. Two of them are A Christmas Carol. Is that allowed?
Yeah, of course it is. Spoiler.
Yeah, I think it's sorry, but the thing is, there's so many versions of A Christmas. Dave. There's
Yeah,
so many versions of A Christmas Carol, though. You know what? And whether they're
yeah.
serious or comedies, that I think I don't know. I'm just trying to dig myself out of a hole. Yeah, spoiler. Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
Anyway, not to worry, not to worry. Right. Anyway, in third place, I want you to give me your third favorite film and tell me why it should appear on your list.
1951's version of A Christmas Carol, black and white, not recolorized,
Hmm.
with Alistair Sim. Have you seen that one? It's on YouTube.
Okay, I'm going to tell you that's my third place one.
Oh, no
Christmas
way.
Christmas Carol and Alistair Sim. Um,
Because Definitive Scrooge, I feel.
yeah, he's Scottish. Obviously, he's going to play the best Scrooge because we're mean, don't you know?
No, I love that, and I didn't think I saw it for the first time until literally the year 2000. I've seen all the other ones at that point, and I love Christmas just as much. I've always loved Christmas as much now, and I don't know why I never saw it. And I think I was in Blockbuster one day, and I saw it on the end of one of their units where they used to have the movies they sold, and like they had a whole bunch of Christmas movies because it was this was obviously Christmas then as well, because Christmas still existed in the noughties. And yeah, I saw it and then just went, hang on a minute, Scrooge. I think I've never seen that version of A Christmas Carol. I bought it on the spot on DVD and watched it and loved it. And I think mainly before it's because of his performance. Um, and also it's got a really, really scary. Sorry, spoilers if you haven't seen A Christmas Carol. The bit when Jacob Marley, shows him all the other phantoms outside, but just before he leaves through the window, and I don't think I'd ever seen at that point, that scene included in a movie. You'd always just seen Jacob Marley leave through the window. You'd never seen like all the phantoms everywhere and stuff like that.
I can't
That always
remember
kind of
that bit.
stayed with me.
I can't remember, but then there again, I've got the most shocking memory for films, so it doesn't.
And there, as a bonus, but it's not in this list, but just in case anyone loved his portrayal, he reprised his role, didn't he? 20 years later in an animated sort of 25-minute long version of A Christmas Carol, all hand drawn properly. Well, it's the 70s, properly animated style, like painted and that. And yeah, and he reprised it in that, and that's fantastic too.
When was that? What year did that one come out?
1970 something, 1971. I'm pretty sure
Ah,
yeah, 20
right.
years after.
I'm just looking down there. 8-bit Steve says the best Scrooge for me was Albert Finney. Now that was
Very
1970.
close, very close.
Yeah, I mean I can't. the- Well, tell you what. Tell me why. Why is that film appear on your list? Why is it not Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Why is
I
it
only saw Jingle
Christmas
All the
Carol?
Way for the first time last year. Do you know that? I'm a little bit embarrassed about that. Just because it's like his acting's superb, and it's really, really, really moving. It's got bits more. It's closer to the book than a lot of the other Christmas carols I'd seen at that point. And also, this sounds weird and snobbery. I do like watching old movies and go, oh look, apparently you can make people transparent in the 50s, and
Mm.
being surprised by the special effects and stuff like that. Um, the Tiny Tim's not annoying as hell. I know that sounds terrible because he's such a key part of a Christmas Carol. But there's been some versions where I love a Christmas Carol. But what's the musical one? I love it. I can't. Is that Scrooge? There's so many versions and variants upon the name Scrooge as well. I get confused. There's a musical one.
I can't remember that one.
Where you actually get to see him go to hell, which is interesting.
Hmm.
And Obi-Wan Kenobi plays Jacob Marley in that version, but the version in that, Tiny Tim is so irritating. So points for this one, where Tiny Tim is not irritating. But yeah, I think pretty much the portrayal he does as Scrooge, especially when he's such an absolute bastard in it. And obviously the point of A Christmas Carol is he redeems himself and becomes nice. But it's the bit where he's nice at the end. It's like he's bordering on euphoric. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, I mean it's a classic tale. It really is, and I think there's something really nice about black and white films as well. I mean, like a lot of people.
Don't watch the recolorized version. That's what I mean, because it's kind of like you should see it as it was created.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a classic tale, obviously. Lewis Carroll, I think it was. I was going to say Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Carroll, yeah.
No, Charles Dickens. Lewis Hamilton.
Bloody Charles Dickens.
Lewis Hamilton's A Christmas Carol that would be amazing. Basically, he's visited by 3 previous dead drivers. Sorry. And also, the reason he's a Scrooge is he doesn't pay any of his tax in the UK and in Sweden.
If anyone for Netflix or Amazon Prime's watching this, I'm sure Dave and I will be happy to negotiate a scripted deal. Yeah, there you go. Lewis Carroll? What did he bloody write then? He did
Alice in Wonderland and Alice in Wonderland. I'm sure he wrote a lot of other things, but I don't know what they are.
I like Christmas Carol that much. I can't even remember who wrote it. Yeah, Charles Dickens. But yeah, it's a wonderful thing, and it's actually, I mean, it's obviously going back to the 70s. There was far less stuff on TV. I mean, it was, you knew exactly what you were getting. You knew you were going to get Wizard of Oz. You were going to get A Christmas Carol.
Guaranteed Bond movie.
Was that a Bond movie? A Christmas? Was that a Christmas?
Bond movie, Christmas and Easter.
Was it? Was it really?
That's an interesting thing you could do. Al and everyone out there, if you love Christmas as much as us, is seriously just go to YouTube and type in history of BBC Christmas ident cards. Because remember they used to change the spinning globe every year and have a different thing. Someone out there has put every single one since they started.
I remember that.
And then there's another one where you can YouTube the list of Christmas Day programs, and it shows you, today on Christmas or Christmas today on the BBC, and it shows you all of them. And they tell you all the programs. And you look at some of them, you think, good to see you were as lazy with your programming back then as you are now.
Just going off topic. One of the things that I loved about, again, it was I think a massive part, probably actually in hindsight, I would say the biggest thrill of Christmas as a kid wasn't really so much Christmas Day. It was the build up. It was
absolutely.
It was like the week before you finished up for school, you got to bring games in, and that's when you knew Christmas was just around the corner, wasn't it?
And your last day, at least ours was, your last day, which would have been around about the 22nd, I think, if it falls, in a week or whatever, was always a half day. I mean, they said they probably didn't have to provide you with lunch. They weren't being festive; they were just being cheap.
Who do we save a bit of money? And another part of that whole thing was Blue Peter lit the candle. You remember that?
Yeah. How many houses did they burn down with that?
Was it 4 cat? God, I'm now got the bloody 2. I've got the 2 Ronnie.
It was 2 coat hangers, wasn't it, like that? Coat hangers.
I'm saying 4 candles. I've now got the fucking 2 Ronnies sketch.
I was just going to say 4 candles.
4 candles. I'm sure it was
2 Ronnies though. Very, very Christmassy.
I'm sure it was 4 candles. It was just all Christmas specials. So anyway, yeah, we're kind of going way off topic. So yeah, so yours and my third place is going to be A Christmas Carol. And I'm going to go for Alistair Sim, though I think, as Steve says, was it Albert Finney? I can't remember what was the one that I watched.
Was a good one as well.
What was that? Sorry?
George C. Scott did a good one as well. That was a
Yeah.
1984 Scrooge, I think. I guess it's in the public domain, isn't it now as well, Christmas Carol? So anyone can do it and not have to pay a copyright.
I would imagine. I think you and I need to make our own version. I think we need. I think we need to make our own version for next year.
I'm not Tiny Tim though.
You can fuck off. I think I'm going to be Scrooge, but anyway. Right. Okay. Right. Well, we both agree in number 3. Second place. What is it going to be, sir? Your second best.
A Muppet's Christmas Carol.
For what reason? It's a favourite of mine as well.
Yeah, it's the Muppets. I grew up on the Muppets. Muppet Show for me always makes me think of Sunday night before school. You know, going to not Sunday night before school. We didn't go to school on Sunday night, but you know what I mean. Sunday night evening TV. Before Monday morning school. Love the Muppets. Absolutely love it. Love all the Muppet movies. And being quite surprised when this came out in 1992 that I got a minute, you're doing a Christmas Carol. And thinking you can't do that, and being incredibly blown away by how close it is. I know, because it's got the Muppets, and this might surprise some people if they've never seen it, how close it is to the book, more so than a lot of the other versions, because it's actually narrated by Gonzo as Charles Dickens. And also Michael Caine is superb as Scrooge.
Yes, he does. Is he the only? No, there's more. I was going to say he's not the only. There are other human beings in that film, isn't there? I think.
Yeah, but most of the mainstay of the book are performed by the Muppets.
Who are the baddies? Not the baddies. The ghosts. You've got the two.
Ghost of Christmas Past. Who's past? Your past. So I've got 4 different versions of A Christmas Carol on my phone through Audible that I've been listening to all the way through December at work. The first one is kind of like a puppet. It's not so much a Muppet. It's more like a serious kind of doll-like puppet, but it's kind of obviously it's been shot differently and then superimposed on the screen as kind of like a flowing ghost, and it's like a little child, a really young child, and it's really, really freaky. The second one is like a really pretty much what it is in the book, but just made as a Muppet, but a huge Muppet, like person-sized Muppet, with the bloke in the robe. And the third one is probably one of the scarier depictions of the ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, because it's basically death, but and you never see his face, and it's a huge kind of the costume's kind of a cross between an actual sort of cloak, but the top of the head goes a bit Muppety in the sense that it's clearly molded and not flowing, and it doesn't even speak.
I can't. I'll need to watch.
And Michael Caine can't sing for shit,
yeah.
But it's still awesome.
Dale Boy's saying there, yep. Normally there's 4 ghosts, but I think Jacob Marley was Statler and Waldorf.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
he was 2. He was Statler and Waldorf. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, the Marley brothers.
Thing is, on paper, a Christmas. I mean, you can't get 2 further apart pole opposites. The Muppets, and then you've got the Christmas Carol by Lewis Hamilton. And they should not work, but they do. It's like bloody. It's like pineapple and pizza. It just works.
It's brilliant. Yeah, it's like I said. That was why I was at the time. Remember it. It's going to be 30 years old next year.
Get away, really? 30?
Yeah, like I said at the time, I was thinking you can't ever do this, and it basically, from day one, it hit the floor running is one of my favorite versions, and now it's like, my definitive version of A Christmas Carol. And like I said, it's so close to the book, and obviously taken, there's a lot of comedy in it, an absolute load of comedy in it, but the serious bits are just serious enough, and because obviously it's a kids movie, but.
I remember. I mean, I didn't actually watch it until fairly recently, 20 years ago. I'd never really watched it as a kid because I was kind of an adult when it came out. I don't know when it came out.
1992.
90, yes, I was kind of growing up. I wasn't going to watch bollocks like that, and then I was persuaded to watch it.
And didn't you regret that you missed 20 years of it?
Yeah, awesome. I thought it was absolutely awesome. It really, really was. So if you had, I mean, if you had to only watch one, it would. So do you prefer the Muppets version over the album?
Yeah.
Over the
Absolutely. There's
and
not
is it just
there's not a massive amount in it, but if I had to only pick one, it would be Muppet.
Yeah, Muppet was one. No, you do know I'm now going to have to go and watch that.
I know the only thing is because I can't. Well, my DVD's in the corner, but it's in the overspill of the shelf where I can't fit any more on there, so they're sideways in a pile, and I can't be bothered to find it. And I was just thinking, you can't get it online because it's a Disney Plus thing now, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Maybe I'll have to plug in my Fire Stick, if you know what I mean.
I was actually looking on the Fire Stick this afternoon. I was wanting to watch the Alistair Sim Christmas Carol, and I couldn't find it.
It's on
YouTube.
YouTube.
Is it?
Yeah.
Ah, right, cool.
And it annoys me because there's you and I having to be so incredibly, because the movie is not public domain. That one isn't anyway. But you and I have to be so incredibly careful with copyright, such as music from games and stuff. And some guys stuck it up, and the cheeky bastards put about 15 adverts through it. So he's making money literally off. It's probably Scrooge. That's a perfect analogy for Scrooge, isn't it? He's making money off a Christmas Carol, and he doesn't even own it.
Nice one. Right, so anyway, over back to me. This one is different now. You mentioned about saying that a Christmas film has to have comedy. This one, well, you know what? It's not comedy. It's got joy in it.
The way you said that, it's got joy in it.
And I don't mean the centerfold from 1983 Razzle. No, it's and you could probably debate that it's not a film. Now, I've mentioned this multiple times, and it is The Snowman by Raymond Briggs.
I I'd go with that. Yeah.
For me,
I consider it film because it's been shown at Christmas so much.
Why do I like what? I mean, Channel 4 were showing it. I can't even remember when it first came out. Was it 80? Was it 84? Something niggles me.
Something like
maybe
that.
Might have been before that, possibly. And again, as a sort of an adult, I just dismissed it. Why would I want to watch this cartoon? And then I think it was when Ava was born. We sat and watched it, and it just absolutely resonated with me. It's not really, technically, it's not really about Christmas. I mean, there is obviously a bit when he goes to the North Pole and he sees Santa Claus. It's obviously, the thing about it for me is the wee boy when he looks outside and he sees the snow. That takes me. I'm instantly transmitted back to, I don't know, 1974 as a kid. We were talking earlier on about what defines Christmas. It's about the build up to it. It's about getting to take toys in at school and Blue Peter lighting their candles. Snow arriving was a big part of it. And just when snow came, you knew that Christmas was round the corner. And just the film itself is magical. If I was to try and describe how I felt about Christmas as a kid with Santa Claus and the whole Christmas thing, not so much about the presents, but just the excitement about the build up to Christmas, I would say, listen, the best thing to do is watch The Snowman. That was me. And ultimately, it's got a sad ending.
Yeah, because it's about friendship and loss.
It is. But I was watching it last night, and it just makes me smile. It makes me smile,
That's on YouTube as well.
It is on YouTube. Yeah, I was actually wanting to then watch the Snowman and the Snow Dog, but I couldn't actually find that anywhere other than a little trailer.
I'm conflicted on sequels to things that old, if that makes sense. I'll tell you what was on today, which is in the same ballpark as a Snowman, is Father Christmas. You know, the one voiced by Will Smith?
Oh, I'll need to watch that as well. Again, that's Raymond Briggs, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is it Ronnie Briggs? Ronnie Briggs.
No. Lewis Hamilton.
Ronnie Briggs and Lewis Hamilton.
The other thing about the Snowman is the absolutely amazing. You don't think you'd get that now. Well, you didn't, because even, I don't know if the second one was hand drawn. It certainly just didn't look like the first one, did it? But the animation, that kind of, like, every line is not fixed, if you know what I mean. It's kind of got a little bit of movement and stuff like that. Which version do you prefer? Do you prefer the version with the intro with David Bowie, or do you prefer the version with the intro by Raymond Briggs?
I don't think I've ever seen, excuse me, the one with Raymond Briggs.
It's hit or miss because there's a couple of versions of it on YouTube, and I never saw the one with Raymond Briggs until I watched it on YouTube. I didn't even know he did one. I guess, I don't know, at some point they probably just went, because it was the 80s. I'm pretty sure David Bowie was coked off his tits at that point. And apparently he was coked off his tits, allegedly, when he did the song with Bing. So
Pum 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 pum. Yeah.
But no, the Snowman's a great thing. When you say it was on Channel 4, my brain wants to say, didn't Channel 4 have a hand in its creation?
You might, yeah, possibly.
But also,
I don't know. It was certainly a channel. It was, I think it used to actually come on. It was always shown in sort of 9 o'clock on Christmas Day, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I don't think I've ever seen it when terrestrial TV, still counted. I don't think I'd ever seen it on anything other than Channel 4, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so
I think
they have a hand in it. I don't know. Like I say, I'll watch it later on and check the end for it, but then most people cut the credits off, don't they, on YouTube?
Yeah, I mean,
and also, good luck sticking an advert in a 20-minute cartoon, YouTube.
But it just brings back. I was talking to Dave on the phone a couple of days ago, and we're talking about like how the sense of smell, and what was the other thing we were saying?
Taste, smell.
Yeah, that just brings it back. That seeing the snowman just it just takes you back. I can remember as a wee kid sitting looking outside and thinking you could see stars twinkling. You think, I think I saw Santa Claus, and it's a magical experience. It's bizarre. It's utterly mental.
And you're so right about like the feeling of snow, like that, captures. But as a kid, like snow was the biggest, best thing in the world as a kid.
And yeah, and like obviously in the snowman, he builds a snowman and he keeps looking out to see if he's still there. And I mean, was it a dream? Did he have? Was it a dream or what? Well, I mean, I would love to know what. It's always a bittersweet, it's a sad ending. What is it? Is it like a child's introduction to death?
I think I read somewhere that, well, that might be one of those people who break stuff down or read too much into things, but I think that's pretty much a part of it, officially, but we just depressed our entire audience.
Matt's saying that the Snowman was produced for Channel 4, so yeah, I think it's.
And then there's an Iron Brew advert. Do you remember the Iron Brew advert?
Yeah, that's brilliant. They actually brought out a new Iron Brew advert maybe a couple of years ago. The same thing again. Brilliant. Just iconic. I mean, I think if I remember rightly, the Snow Dog one, they've got things like the Millennium Dome and all that kind of stuff, and it's just it's a beautiful.
I don't hate it. It didn't need to be a thing.
Yeah.
Maybe if it was nearer to the original in the time, and so it looked more like it. Because, like I said, I was watching the Gruffalo. I don't forget what TV channel it was on. But I watched the Gruffalo and the Gruffalo's child back to back today, and they work. I mean, I know it's entirely different, but they are they're not about Christmas, but they're were made for Christmas. But I guess because they were made so close together, so who knows? Maybe, like I said, the Snow Dog was made nearer to the original. But there's no doubt, like you said, the original is an absolute classic.
Yeah.
But can you imagine it now? Do you imagine what absolutely would happen then? If you were a kid, even me as a kid, if my snowman came to life, Jesus Christ, run for your fucking lives. Everyone in the house, boil as much water as you can get your hands on.
So yeah, movie, that's my number 2. So moving on to your number 1.
The definitive, as far as I'm concerned, Christmas movie of all time is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Touche. Yep, that's my number 1 as well.
Honestly, people, we did not collude on this.
Not at all. Have you watched it? Yeah, I watched it last night, actually.
I'm watching it tonight. I've actually got a Moosehead mug, by the way.
Aye.
They're honestly,
for your eggnog.
Yeah, they're rare as shit, because a few years ago they did a collector's edition of the DVD, and you got a mini one in. This is a full-size glass one. But yes, and it's the best vacation movie.
I was just it's a classic. At the obviously you've all seen it at the very very end when the guy gets kidnapped, and then of course the police come in, the SWAT team come in, and then when he tells his wife that he cut the bonuses, she went, "That's terrible," and then the police inspector goes, "That's really low, Mister."
Merry fucking Christmas! Hallelujah! I need some Tylenol.
So what? I mean, I was going to say it's a fairly recent film,
1989.
1989. Yeah, 1989. What do you think makes it the best Christmas film?
I think everyone at some point, whether you witnessed it as a kid or it was you as an adult, you know, taking on a bit more than you could chew, or maybe your first time doing it for relatives and stuff like that. Everyone's had that, you know, vision of a perfect Christmas, and it goes a bit tits up. Not as tits up as his Christmas, but you know, and also it's when Chevy Chase was still funny.
Aye. Apparently he's a bit of a cunt now, from what I've heard. But
I'll tell you what, have you seen him?
He's
been on the Christmas pies.
He likes the pies. I was doing a quick Google the young lady that works in the perfume shop. She still looks all right for her age.
Yeah, it's a bit nickly. Also, the little kid in it is
that Rocky?
Padalecki? It's the kid from Big Bang. It's the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
And obviously, what's her name is? I can't remember her name. The one from Natural Born Killers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, not Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And cousin Eddie's cousin Eddie.
That's
Morning,
right. He's
shit, it was full.
He's just brilliant. He's absolutely fantastic.
He's in that. They made a sequel to that, and he's the star of that. Why would you make a sequel to that?
They made a sequel to National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, and it's about cousin. It doesn't count. I don't consider it canon. It's like Cousin Eddie's Christmas. But it's a little thing like the bit as well when you remember when he sits, and I just think it looks brilliant when he's got that new thing that he uses to coat cornflakes or something, because he works in that company, doesn't he? And he puts it on the bottom of the toboggan, and then you just see a flame, even though it's on snow, as he goes pissing down the hill. And then you got the bit at the start. I could just quote bits of the movie. The bit at the start, because his neighbour is Elaine from Seinfeld, isn't it?
Oh, right.
Yeah, you see him with a Jason Voorhees hockey mask on and a chainsaw. And his neighbour goes, "Hey, Griswold, it's a pretty big tree. Where are you going to put it? Bend over and I'll show you." And then he goes, "How dare you talk to me like that? I wasn't talking to you, I was talking to your wife."
It's brilliant. John Hughes, obviously, wasn't it? He directed it. I think what makes it, I mean, it's a great film, lots of great set pieces, but it's got it ticks all the boxes. What makes Christmas special? Snow. It's got loads of snow. Christmas tree, going out and getting the Christmas tree. Then we've all had the irritating parents. We've all had Christmas Day, and you've got the parents you've got the relatives that you really can't be bothered. They don't get on, whatever. You've got the parent. And he wants to give his family the ultimate Christmas present, the ultimate Christmas.
Heart as well. The bit when he gets stuck in the attic and he's watching his Christmas on Super 8, and then they open the loft and he goes falling through.
Yeah. I mean, there's so other. Was there any kind of also runs that Kenny didn't quite make the list?
I'm just trying to think. No, they are definitely my definitive three. Like, you know, it was difficult. No, it wasn't actually. I was going to say difficult to pin it down, and I had more than that. No, I didn't. I literally sat down and just wrote those three out. Mm-hmm. That's how conditioned my brain is for Christmas.
Well, it's interesting that out of three, you and I agree on two of them. So there you go. So that is.
I wonder if anyone in the comment section agrees with any of them.
I'm not too sure. Juliet Lewis, yeah, Del Boy saying Juliet Lewis, Natural Born Killers. Matt saying here, can you see the comments, by the way?
No.
You can't. Right, Matt's
saying. Big
saying,
white gap.
Right, maybe a minute. I'll just pop that up there. Hopefully you can see that. He actually broke his wrist when he went mad hitting and throwing the elves about. Oh, that was when he went radio rental after he couldn't get the lights working, yeah.
And then what was the bit? One of my favourite scenes with cousin Eddie is when he's talking about the plate in his head. He goes, "See that, Clark? Yeah, that side's metal." Was it one time my wife turned on the microwave? I pissed my pants and forgot who I was for 10 minutes.
What was it? When they're sitting drinking eggnog, and what was it? He says, "Oh no, it's they're sitting drinking eggnog," and he says, "Oh, it's great to have you here." And no. He says, "Then hopefully I'll take what was it? We'll take you out in the woods and we'll leave you for dead or something like that." And then he goes, "Oh, that's what family is all about, Clark." He says, "We'll be here to the end of the month." And he goes.
Oh, such a good movie. It's just a shame that the audio commentary on it is the guy who played Cousin Eddie. It's pretty much everyone else, I think, and the lovely Beverly D'Angelo. But I would have loved an audio commentary by Chevy Chase. He should get on that. I'm pretty sure he's not doing much these days.
No, I can't imagine. Sorry, Catherine's saying she finds National Lampoon's film infantile. Can't watch it. No offence. It's never going to be for everybody. But I don't know. Are you a fan of the other National Lampoon?
I like the first one.
I
can't stand the European one. It's just not funny. And the Vegas one.
Have I seen that one? I think I might have seen it once.
For me, first and third, and the third is the best.
So anyway,
you're not missing much on Vegas vacation.
But that is it. It's official. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is the finest Christmas film ever. So yeah, right. We'll break it up a wee bit. Excuse me. What would you say was your favouriteest Christmas present ever?
This one I was thinking because the two big toy sort of fads, crazes when I was growing up, when I was a lad, was Star Wars and then Transformers, and I had some pretty cool Star Wars stuff. And you got to remember as well, Christmas must have been bloody expensive for my mum and dad. He had a hand in there somewhere, because 3 boys. And so I mean, I got some cool Star Wars stuff and things like that. But I remember what a big deal Transformers was when it first came out. And I remember one year I got Soundwave. I still have most of my Transformers, and they're still boxed. They've seen better days.
Wow,
I have their boxes. But the best Christmas present ever I can remember, because it was such a big deal. Because obviously, whenever it was the number one toy, it was so difficult to get. And then because me and my twin pretty much shared the same taste, often she would have to try and get 2 of them. Whether that would even be allowed, because obviously they used to have limits, didn't they? But I remember when it was the must-have toy, and my mum managed to get one for me and my twin brother, and we got Optimus Prime.
There's Matt Renton saying there he loved his Optimus Prime. There you go.
Yeah, that was absolutely fantastic.
When was that? What year are you talking about?
Transformers came out, I want to say 1984, and he was Generation 1, so that would have been 1984. Whether I got him, because he was number one toy for a couple of years, I don't think I got him the first year. I think that would have been when I got Soundwave, which was still pretty, and I wanted that, pretty bitchin', Transformer. I think it would have been 1985 when I got Optimus Prime, but I think my mum said she remembers queuing outside British home stores. Who remembers them? Sold for £1, and then he stole all the money from the pension, didn't he? Yeah, she waited outside, queued, and got, like I said, must have bought 2 from the same place. Imagine being the person behind her if they ran out.
You know what surprises me is, obviously, nowadays you've got social media and all that. We all know that Xboxes and bloody PlayStation 5s are impossible to get. All right, that's probably down to the fact that sort of parts are in short supply. But back in 1984, I mean, it was how would a toy suddenly become I suppose it would just be adverts. You would have an advert in TV, and
Yeah.
kids would go, "Oh, I want it, I want it, I want it." I
Or
suppose
newspapers and that, I guess, would cover this year's most sold out, which wouldn't help it because there's always a bunch of people who just buy something because apparently you like challenge accepted. You can't get your hands on this. Or is that right?
Mm.
I
Have
do
you ever
remember Points West, which is like the local news section after the main news on the BBC, which is obviously tailored to where you are, and ours is Bristol Points West. They used to, for years and years and years as a kid, and I used to love it, do the top 10 toys. So I'm pretty sure that didn't help.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised. So you would say your Optimus Prime was your
Absolutely.
that was your favourite. Even did you have like the Millennium Falcon and that kind of stuff?
My brother Jason had the Millennium Falcon. I must have cost a fortune back then as well. I had an X-Wing, Snowspeeder, an ATST, Jabba the Hutt's playset.
Have you still got them?
Yeah.
Oh, have you? Nice.
My brother Ian got the AT-80. Friggin' huge.
That'll be your pension sorted then, eh?
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I mean, did you get your ZX Spectrum for Christmas?
That was just a gift.
Right. So, because I'm surprised that wasn't your favourite one, but.
Yeah, that was. I've always thought it was odd that. I mean, it was second hand because what was it? We talked about that. 175 quid in 1982 for the 48K version. Which, let's be honest, that's probably what it cost to have, buy a mainstay present for each of your kids at Christmas back then, anyway. But maybe he just thought, I'll give them to it at Christmas as a joint gift on Christmas Day. That's just a headache in itself.
For me, and again, I've mentioned this before. I had, without a shadow of doubt, my favourite Christmas present was my Rally Grifter.
Oh, nice!
Bike
with the 3-speed selector.
Stormy Archer, twisted it. It had the big. It's the comfiest seat I've ever sat on in my life. It was. I went on to what do you call it, eBay a couple of weeks ago. I could maybe just buy myself one. And it looks quite kind of scrawny looking now. It doesn't look quite as I remember it to be.
Really muscular and
it was a heavy bugger. It was a really heavy bike, but
I know it was very difficult to jump.
Yeah, just because it had thick wheels. It was basically a BMX before BMX bikes were even a thing.
Yeah, I would say definitely a pinch of mountain bike in there as well.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me was it was a thick kind of frame, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely gorgeous. It had metallic paint that glistened. I had the red one. I think they had the blue one as well. And I can still remember. In my house, my mum and dad would have all the Christmas presents hidden. Then me and my two sisters would go to bed, and then my mum and dad would dig all the presents out and get everything downstairs. And then usually by about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, I would get up and go down to see if Santa had been. And I remember, I think a couple of times I went down and they were still putting the presents out. Get to bed. He's not here yet. But I just remember I can still picture coming downstairs and they had the lights on.
Did you go upstairs and say to your sister, God, this is Santa and he bears a remarkable resemblance to our dad?
I just remember coming downstairs and the Christmas lights twinkling against the metallic paint of the grifter, and it was just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And my mate Derek, he was my best pal at the time. As we all did back then. Christmas started when the autumn and winter catalogue came out, and then you would. After you'd obviously looked at the underwear section, you would, or was that just me possibly?
That was internet porn back in the day.
It was, and you would just. I never circled things because I knew that my mum and dad would only be able to buy me maybe one or two things, so I didn't say I want that. I would tell her, I'd love that, I'd love that, and what was I going to say? And you knew that you were going to you would maybe get one or two things. my mate Derek, he got everything. So if we circled, him and I would usually circle the same things. $6 Million Man, Evil Knievel. They all probably came out in different years.
Oh, Evil Knievel. I
But
forgot all about that. Yeah.
Oh, did you have one?
Yeah.
Did you
And
not
I had
got
a $6 Million Man as well.
You've not got any. You still not.
Not got those. I'd love that Evil Knievel. Not just to say, oh, I've still got my Evil Knievel from a kid, but to jump it. Jumping that thing was epic.
What do you think happened to them? What happened to these toys? I mean, I think I was quite destructive when I kind of lost interest in toys. I would just break them, and then they would get
My
flung
mate
in
used
the
to
bucket.
blow everything up with bangers.
Remember cap guns? Remember the little tiny little, they were minute little guns, and you had these little red caps, and they were freaking loud as anything.
As soon as you say cap, I can instantly. We talk about smell being a great way to get the smell of caps.
The sulphur.
You used to go.
And if you remember the caps, they came in a little. It was a little kind of cardboard container thing.
That's right.
A little lid, and then you could put them through. But if you really wanted to be extravagant, you would keep them in the thing and get a big boulder and go bang. You would do that, and that was like 20 of them in one go.
We should chuck them into bonfires.
But what was I talking about? Anyway, so Derek, he used to get everything, whereas I got 2 things. He would get maybe 12 things. But I'll tell you, he was jealous of me. He Christmas morning, I chapped in his door and says, "Derek coming out to play," and he came out on his Rally Commando, which was a lovely bike, but the Rally Grifter pissed all over it. And Derek was so jealous of my Rally Grifter. In fact, you know what? This is how stupid I was. I think I let him ride about in my Rally Grifter because I knew it was my bike. But I was on his Commando and he was on my Rally Grifter because I knew at the end of the day, when we got shouted to come in because you're going to your granny's for your Christmas dinner, I knew that the Grifter was going home with me and he was something. But any opportunity. Yeah. So yeah, I think without a shadow of doubt, the Rally Grifter was my favourite present. On a flip side, was there any Christmases where you wanted something and you thought you were going to get something and it never quite materialised the way you thought?
I kind of got a little bit of a spin on that, which is we got it. It was a late thing that my parents had to do because we found out what my older brother Jason was getting for Christmas, and we were like, "No way, I want one of those." And he was getting a pretty decent remote control car. So at the last minute, me and my brother Ian changed our minds on what we wanted, and they accommodated it and managed to get me and him 2 remote control cars as well. I remember it because, well, we'll get to why it was disappointing, but they were remote control mini Metros, back when the Metro was called the Mini Metro. And because he had to get 2, and that would have been very expensive, and they weren't up to the standard of my brothers, but they were proper, like we talked about a while ago on your days before games or computers before the NES or days before the NES. You either had remote control cars where you had the clicker gun sound, or you had one where you had the wire plugged in permanently. So in the early 80s, to get a proper remote control car was like, it was getting up there a bit. So because we changed our mind and my dad managed to track 2 down, but he bought them off the back of a lorry. Christmas morning, my brother Jason was driving his remote control car around, like, "Yay, look at this bad boy." And then we were like, "Oh my God, Dad's got us one as well, each." And again, hence the fact, it's very much Del Boy, that sort of, way of thinking. Because he managed to get us both off the back of the lorry, and both of them, so you knew the whole batch was fucked. Both of them didn't work, and that was our main present on Christmas Day.
When you say they didn't work, you mean they physically didn't? They didn't
physically
actually
did not work.
Bollocks.
And my dad was a mechanic as well, an electrician. So if he couldn't get something going, then you knew. It was like a Del Boy thing, wasn't it? Del Boy he'd known they wouldn't have worked, and he would have pitched it in a different way. World's biggest, most important looking paperweight.
And was that your main Christmas present as well?
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell!
Little bits here and there, and stockings. Stockings was always a big part of Christmas. And And I've been like your granny always got you a decent gift and stuff like that. But yeah, so me and Ian, like, I don't think we were like ungrateful little shits or anything. It was just like there's your brother rubbing salt into the wound with his working remote control car, pissing around the lanes. And there you are, just going, just move.
So what kind of car was it? Was it like a proper like cordless,
proper
full booner?
Yeah, that's why I think he bought them off a man he knew down the pub, because it was like getting two for a reasonable price that close to Christmas, and let's be honest, everyone we've all been passed or something off the back of a lorry over the years.
I don't even remember. I mean, you're considerably younger than myself, but I don't remember proper. I don't remember there actually being proper like wireless remote control cars. I think these were things of hobbyists, which you had to go to like Wonderland Hobbies and probably pay the best part of 200 quid for one.
Well, you got the massive control unit that looks like the one off the box art from Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
I had all the wee electronic. I can't remember what the hell they were called. All the wee bits. I mean, back then, and again, as we say, we touched on it before. The cars, as you see, there was two types of remote control cars. There was one that had a fixed wire that was probably about 3 feet, so you basically had to run behind it when you were like driving.
A good workout.
And of course, it used batteries. Now, I don't know whether batteries were just plain shit back in the day, but the batteries never lasted long, did they?
No, and they always leaked, and not just because you left them in the thing, for years and years and years. But they always leaked, like my memory of them.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there were only two brands back then, Everready and Duracell.
I see Duracell, and I see that's they didn't exist when I was lad. It was all just HP, Everready. Yeah. And usually I used to piss my mum and dad off, because this is a thing. I don't think my mum and dad actually ever gave us batteries with things, which sounds crazy. I used to Christmas Day, open it and think, well, we'll get the batteries when the shop's open. So I would usually go and take them out my dad's radio or something, and that used to annoy him. But yeah, the batteries never lasted. So yeah, there was the battery controlled ones which had the wire, or you had the sonic control ones, and as you say, it was like a plastic trigger. It was kind of similar to like a Skeletric controller.
I think it was basically flexing a piece of metal, wasn't it? Under a piece of foam.
It just bent. I don't know what the technology was. Yeah, it wasn't Bluetooth, but it was like sonic controlled. And I think the only way you could do it is, you see, you could drive in a straight line, and then you click it, it reverses and turns, and then you can
backs up around a corner.
You couldn't like do a circle. You had to go forwards, reverse, forwards, reverse, forwards, reverse, and it was a bit shit. Let's be honest, it was a bit shit.
You could practice for your test by backing it around the corner, reverse parking.
I got one of them. I got a Lamborghini, and it was a fixed. I'm sure, you know what? It was a fixed cable, and this was doubly shit, because it not only did it have a fixed cable, you were tethered to the cable. It too had the forward and reverse thing, so it didn't even have left and right. So it was
solution back in the day if your kid's overweight, though, isn't it?
What's that?
I said a solution back in the day if your kid's overweight, buy him a remote control car with a tethered wire. Get his fat ass around the house.
Tell you, before I forget, there's a toy which I can distinctly remember, and nobody has ever been able to remember apart from me. It was like imagine a little like biplane, but the wings were just like flexible plastic. The biplane was maybe about that size, but it had this massive big fuck off propeller, plastic propeller, and you put it into this cord and you pulled it, and it would sort of go whoosh, and it would shoot up into the air, and it just had this gigantic propeller and this little tiny flexible plastic. I can't remember what they were called.
I can't remember what they're called, but I had one. But I had.
Do you remember them?
Version. Yeah. And the propeller actually, for safety, actually had a circle of plastic around it, didn't it? So
I think you're right. Yeah.
And you used to get really crap ones, like a bloke molded like that with his hands up. It's a parachutist, but he just had the big propeller straight on the top of his head.
But aye, that would be that. But yeah, I think so. So your most disappointing Christmas was when your dad got you and your brother knockoff remote control cars, which
And the
didn't
funny thing
actually work.
is, my second or third car in the 1993, 94 was an actual Metro, and that was just as disappointing to drive as this.
You know the crazy thing is you can go to like I was going to say the gadget shop, was it Mankind or something I think it's called it, and you can get like a completely untethered remote control car for about 20 quid now.
Yeah, it's like drones as well. Because when I was a kid, and we've talked about this before, and some of that I can't remember what one we did it in, but it was like when you were a kid, like the holy grail of something would have been a remote control plane or something, back when they were petrol, and they were like, even in then probably $1,000, so probably pushing 3-4 grand with inflation. And now you walk into, like you said, the gadget shop and you buy a drone, or a helicopter
for 20 quid. Just talking about building remote controls, my dad decided back in the 70s he was going to build a remote control, and I'm like, oh, a fucker, aeroplane car. He built a boat, a remote controlled boat, and the only time
where were you going to use it?
the only time we got to use it was my dad was friends with the PE teacher at the high school that I used to go to, but I hadn't actually started high school at that point. And he got the use of the swimming pool one night, and me and my dad went, and it was a frigate. I mean, my dad built the boat himself. To be fair, it was very
I like
frigate.
the fact he didn't just build any boat; he built a frigate.
A frigate, and it looked frigate-like. It was grey, battleship grey, but it was a fucking boat, and it did about like half a knot.
Was he like true hobbyist back in the day, where he would have the captain's hat on? He stood there with his remote at the side of the pool.
His pipe, yeah. Ah, bless him. I mean, my dad's not here now, you know what I mean? But come on, Dad, a fucking remote-controlled boat.
He's looking down now, shaking his fist in one grateful little shit.
You cheeky little bastard. Yeah. But my most disappointing Christmas, it's actually it was a
Would
fight.
you say actually good? Both of us. Tangent would be. Was it when you found out Santa wasn't real?
At what point did I? When did you kind of realise, and at what point did it kind of the penny drop? Or were
Our milkman told us, bastard.
Yeah, milkman.
Seriously.
Well, he just blurted that
put it
out.
out. I think he thought we knew or something. That's Santa. Not real, eh? Here you go. 2 creams.
Anyway, enjoy your 5th birthday. Santa's not real.
I started crying, but it wasn't because Santa wasn't real. I didn't want cream. I wanted a pint of orange. But yeah, it didn't ruin it. But yeah, he told me and my older brother. I think my twin brother believed for 1 more year. He never twigged that Santa's handwriting was suspiciously similar to my mum's.
I think when I started finding Christmas presents, because my mum and dad are right, I would just go and look for them, and then inevitably you would find them. And that's when it started. The penny started to drop, and think, well, if Santa's delivering it, why is it in the cupboard above the stairs? I couldn't
exactly. Also, how did Santa fit a rally grifter down a chimney?
We didn't actually have. But no, my most disappointing Christmas, I don't remember what year it was. Derek, my spoiled best friend, he, like all the kids, Skeletrix was the big thing. TCR.
Another great one for smell. That electrical burning of the motor.
Yeah, that's right. TCR, Racing Cheat. Apparently TCR was actually a bit shit, I heard.
Yeah, but they basically destroyed Skeletrix, didn't they? By being cheaper. It's like VHS and Betamax all over again.
Weren't the cars in TCR like tiny? I'm sure they were really small. They were
because
really,
I remember
really small.
Skeletrix was not just for kids. It was a big hobbyist thing because there was a place downtown called the Model Shop, and downstairs was just like generic for kids. And then you went upstairs, and the entire of the upstairs was all devoted to Hornby trains and Skeletric cars. And I always, as a kid, was amazed just to because they were like, not like the cheap ones you would get included with it, but how many cars there were for Scalextrics if you went to one of these proper places. And people, you would sit and people wouldn't. Well, I can't complain because as an adult I don't. But back then, when someone told you like, "Oh, I bought one of these. Oh, amazing! Can I race it? Oh, I'm not opening it. Don't be stupid, child."
Yeah, my mate Derek had the Scalextrics, and he had. I always remember it came with like a white and blue Formula One car, but it was like the John Player Special. I think it was like David Hunt or something. David Hunt, nice. I said, and it
back
was
when
like
you can advertise cigarettes on.
It was black. It was just sexy black. It was like sex and legs. So yeah,
that would have been a Lotus, wouldn't it?
I don't know what it was, but I remember it was fast as anything. It didn't really hold the track that well, but it had a great top speed.
I was never good at Scalextrics. I was like most kids. I was all right on the straights. never made a corner.
So I dropped major hints. Can I get Scalextrics? Well, you didn't hint. You just asked. So can I get Scalextrics for Christmas? Can I get Scalextrics for Christmas? And I thought I was going to get Scalextrics for Christmas, and there was a big Scalextric-sized box under the Christmas tree, and I opened it up, and it was a fucking train set.
Oh, the complete opposite of the spectrum.
A train set. I
bet that bad boy didn't fly off around the corner.
Sorry, you need to give me a moment. Sorry.
Was it at least the one where smoke came out? The chuff one?
Well, and here's the thing. They got me a train set. I think it was second hand. And one of the trains, it came with like a little locomotive, a little whatever the fuck it was, and carriages and all that. But they also had a boxed Evening Star. Now, Evening Star apparently was the last steam engine to be manufactured. In fact, Mr. Colin Jones is a train driver. He'll tell us the Evening Star was apparently the last steam train to be manufactured in the UK, whatever it was. And I got an Evening Star. Now, it was probably worth quite a bit of money. Well, probably now it would be worth a lot of money.
I was going to say, I bet you wish you hung on to it now.
Yeah, but you know what? It was complete. A train set was utterly lost on me. It was wasted on me. I wanted a Scalextric set, and so I ended up just. I used to do stupid things like the thing about Scalextrics. I think am I right in thinking did it have to like you had to have like a loop to complete the circuit? I think, didn't you?
Yeah.
Whereas a train set, you could just have a straight piece of track.
And go up and down.
And I used to make ramps and the Evening Star straight up. So I just used to use it and abuse it, and I even it's terrible now, but I used to take the cover off the engine, and I would hold the two wheels so they were touching the track, and then I would turn the power up full. And it would go, and then eventually you get the smoke coming out, and eventually I broke it, and I think it was flung in the bucket. But I'll never forgive them. A train set. The other, I'm just going to shoehorn this in. The other one, it was either that or this other one, and I've mentioned this before. Whilst I'm not a big football fan, I loved Subbuteo. Subbuteo a great game. Were you a fan of Subbuteo?
Yep. It's come back now because for years it was just like the base with a cardboard picture of a player on it, because like they cheapen everything, don't they? Yeah, now it's properly back in sets where it's like little molded players and stuff.
I bet you anything they cost an absolute fortune.
I've not looked it up. I know my brother got one from a junk sale, and he managed to buy the 1970s World Cup one from a junk sale. So He got the piece of cloth. He got a little Jules Rimet, four floodlights that didn't work, and two teams. And I was never any good at it, but probably because you're so impatient and you're playing it with your brother. It wasn't a turn based at that point. You're just flicking shit around as fast as you can.
But yeah, Derek, he had Subbuteo.
I'm starting to dislike Derek.
He was I know. Well, I actually met him. I bumped into him. I lost touch with him probably 1979, and I actually bumped into him a couple of years ago, and he's completely bald. And I'm like, Chris, you've not aged very well, but anyway. Probably because he was in playing with all his toys. But yeah, I wanted Skeletrix. I wanted Subbuteo, and Subbuteo I got, except it was fucking rugby.
Oh, are you sure your parents weren't trolling you these 2 Christmases?
I never even attempted to play it.
How would you even play Subbuteo rugby?
I don't know.
It's basically you're playing it like football, aren't you? Rugby's gone out the window because it's not like they can hold the ball.
I can't even. You know, I can't. I remember opening it up, and you had like the cloth. It's like the snooker cloth. You put it on the table, and I couldn't. And here's the thing: my dad used to play rugby, but he wasn't remotely interested in playing Subbuteo rugby with me. Can't think why. So I had nobody to play with.
Because he wanted the football set as well.
He probably did it. It's probably my mum that bought it. Yeah. Why did they buy me rugby? I wanted football. And the only bit that entertained me. Do you remember and I think it was by MB Games, Haunted House?
Yes. With the
marble
in the middle, yeah, and then the cardboard rooms coming off.
And yeah, and if you landed on a certain square, you dropped the marble down, and it would go through one of like 4 directions, and it would come out and it would kick you, whatever it was. It was called the scrum machine, and all it was like a giant rugby ball shaped plastic, and it had a hole at the top, and you basically put your team round the said plastic rugby ball.
You just randomise the drop.
And then you had a tiny little rugby ball, and you just dropped it, and it'd go and that was the only thing I ever played with, and I can't even remember. I must have destroyed
to be fair, I never even knew they made a rugby Subbuteo.
I can't think why it never took off.
I was going to say it was probably discontinued before I was a kid.
So yeah. Train set and Subbuteo rugby.
No, just the Metro for me.
Not as bad as a knockoff broken remote control car, to be fair, but
yeah. At least you got to jump your train. Mine would have needed to have worked for that.
Right, back to top threes. We've already told you what the definitive Christmas movie is. We're going to turn our ears to the definitive Christmas songs. Fucking hell, I've got mine written down, and I'm probably going to cause controversy with my number one. I wouldn't say it's what is the best. It's what one to you when you hear it. It's Christmas when you hear it.
Yeah.
Your favourite, whatever it is. It might not even be your favourite, but what song would you say? In third place, what would you say is your third place song that is?
But then anyone who knows me knows I absolutely love Elvis Presley. So I have to say Blue Christmas.
Nice choice.
Don't get to hear it very much. So, you might if you spend at least 8 hours in Peacocks and eventually catch it at one of the ends of their playlist. But you don't really hear it very much. But I love that. And I think it might be because my parents played it as a kid as well. So.
Yeah, so there's a whole nostalgia thing going on there as well.
Yeah. And it's a great song, and Elvis is the king.
I'm actually going to an Elvis tribute on the 22nd of January. There you go.
Oh, nice. Spoilers, it's not really him.
Fuck, you'll be telling me bloody Santa Claus doesn't exist next.
Yeah. I'll leave that for the milkman. Do we even have milk? Do we even have milkman anymore?
You do, actually.
I was going to say, if we don't, good. I'm glad your whole business demise for ruining fucking Santa for a whole bunch of kids. Maybe it was a thing they all did. The League of Milkmen. Don't forget this year, Christmas, to ruin Christmas for as many kids as you can. The winner gets a prize.
So, Blue Christmas.
Yeah.
By Elvis. That's a good choice. Is there any reason at all? Is it just again?
Like
it's just
played by my parents at Christmas. They show massive amount of nostalgia. May have heard it once or twice at my grandparents, because he was, well, think about it. He was still alive when I was a kid.
77 he died, I think, was it? 77?
78? Died on the crapper. That's so sad.
So I'm just looking at Matt Renton. Oh, he did say it until he fucking went up. He said that he used to work in retail and he hates Christmas music. Yeah, I can get that. I worked in retail for a couple of years.
That's what Audible's for.
What's that?
That's what Audible's for.
Audible.
Yeah, you know, books. Spoken books. But yeah, I can fully appreciate that. But
what is there any Christmas songs you say irritate you?
Fucking E17.
Step into Christmas by fucking Elton, whatever his name is.
E17, Chav Central did a Christmas song. Elton, yeah. Oh god, that one's horrible. Look at us mocking people who've made millions in revenue.
Mariah Carey as well, eh? Fuck off.
Oh, see, the thing about Mariah Carey is every voice where she tries to do that high-pitched wobble thing she does in the middle of every song to go, look at me, I've got an amazing voice, and everyone places like the X Factor clap and go, oh, it's brilliant. Am I the only person who find that like, holy shit, that's giving me a headache? And she does it in her Christmas song. And of course, last year she was on the front of every bloody bag of Walker's crisps, wasn't she?
Oh shit, Jesus. A couple of Pipes of Peace by Paul McCartney. Yeah, that brings back a lot of happy memories for me. That one.
I'd have to listen to that. I can't remember that off the top of my head.
Pipes of Peace. No, it's not bad. I'm not a fan of McCartney, I have to say, but
I might be confusing it with his other song.
Frog Chorus.
Yeah. No, I can't remember.
Molly Kintyre.
Yeah. The Frog Chorus had a bitchin' video though, didn't it? Rupert the Bear.
I think did it. Oh, that's I do recall that one. Right, my third place one is going to be Merry Christmas. Is it Merry Christmas Everybody by Slade?
Yeah, that's a banger.
It's one of the Christmas songs that doesn't get in my tits. My granny bought it. She bought the single, and I think I've actually got it somewhere. Yeah, as a kid, hearing that song again, that's another what we were talking about: smells and tastes. You know, getting to take toys into school. The last week of school, the 4 Candles, 2 Ronnies. I mean, the Blue Peter, and then of course the music on the wireless. Music on the wireless, and when they started playing music, does Christmas actually start earlier every year? Does it start earlier, or back in the 70s?
It starts in September now. At the end of September, you'll start seeing the festival appear, like some disease infecting retail slowly and spreading. But I mean, we talked about it. Maybe it was last year or the year before in our Christmas stream that I distinctly remember Christmas only really, I mean, obviously you'd have to shop, but it wasn't like TV or radio and magazines were telling you to start shopping at the end of bloody September. I'm pretty sure people didn't really start even shopping until December, but as a kid, it didn't really start until you broke up and the week before, did it?
I don't think Christmas really started until, as you say, probably the first week in December. That's when it started to.
And advent calendars didn't have chocolate in.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I was Eva got given a what would you call it, a bloody chocolate calendar thing. It's got twirls and what have you. And this is a true story. We actually made our own. Me and my 2 sisters made our own advent calendar. And what we did was we cut out the Christmas cards. We cut out using a thing called pinking shears, which are basically scissors, but they had like a razor edge. So when you cut round it, it gave a kind of jaggy edge to it.
Oh, like a crinkle, yeah. We had that.
Yeah, they're called. I think they're for cutting bloody flowers or something.
I was going to say crinkle cut, but that's chips.
It is crinkle cut. Yeah, imagine your McCoy's scissors. We'll call it McCoy's scissors. We used them to cut round it, and what we did was we made our own advent calendar. So we had like a little picture of Santa Claus, behind each different window. But this was the sad part. We used to, at Christmas time, it would get put up, and we took it in turns to open it. Oh, it's my turn next. You opened it, and it revealed a little picture of whatever was behind it. After Christmas, said calendar got put away, and then it got brought out the next year. So we just reused the same calendar. But that was magical again. And like the smelly fruit, my mum used to. She's probably actually, when I think now, I think my mum probably abused me because I got shit Christmas presents, and she never really gave me fruit until Christmas time, which is why I've probably I've got crap teeth. But yeah, like, even like the smell, my mum used to buy these.
I had gout until I was 16.
She used to buy these bright red apples, and she used to polish them. And the smell of the apples and the advent calendar coming out.
She didn't use actual polish, did she?
I don't think so. You know what? Nothing would surprise me. But yeah, we used to make our own advent calendar. I don't know why I'm talking about advent calendars. Did you mention advent calendars?
I got a chili one this year.
Okay, chili.
Yeah.
Has it actually got proper chilies behind it?
It's got chili sauce in each one.
Oh, right, nice. Was that like a little kind of sachet type thing?
Yeah, it's a pretty decent sachet. The annoying thing is, there's only 12 and they double them up. Bit pissed off about that. When I bought it.
So you get. So do you get like 12 and then after like the 13th,
it just starts the loop
goes
again,
back again. No, that's a bit.
And also, I would have. Well, they should have put like a little mini bottle in on the 24.
So what you going to dip in it then, or do you just drink it?
I put chili sauce on bloody everything. When we go to lunch at work, people look at me like a weirdo because I was sat there with like chicken skewers, and I've got my Frank's bottle of hot sauce that I leave in the fridge, and I pour it on every single one as I eat it. People just go, "What's wrong with that retard over there?" It's all right. It's just Dave. He's got an obsession with chili sauce.
So your number, my third place is going to be Slade. Is it Merry Christmas, everybody?
Pretty sure.
I think it is. It is Merry Christmas,
everybody.
You can
just say Slade because everyone just immediately thinks of that more than any other thing they ever did. That's the curse or gift of your Christmas record.
Well, I'm sure they're quite happy to have a
best mutton
Christmas
chops
song
ever as well.
Yeah. What was I going to say there? What was it? Wizard. Wish it could be Christmas every day.
Yeah, is that the one with the star makeup?
I think it is. I can remember as a kid genuinely thinking, Christmas is amazing. It's the happiest time of the year. Everybody's happy. We're all getting given presents. And I remember saying to my mum, why don't we just do this every day?
Yeah.
I was being serious. Like, what? This is wonderful. Why don't we do it every day? I had no idea the fact that how Christmas came about. Because at the end of the day, you're telling your kids a fat fib. It's it's not us that buy it. It's Santa. Well, why doesn't fucking Santa deliver presents every day and you don't have to go to work and we can have chocolate?
Bastard.
Exactly. Yeah. So number 2 in your top tune, Christmas tune.
Do They Know It's Christmas? The original by Band Aid.
Well, you know what? That's my number 1.
Is it?
That's my number 1. Yep. Now I know some people probably think it's a lot of fucking shit. All these fucking overpaid celebs and whatever it was. What makes it special for you?
It was such a unique thing as a kid. You'd never ever seen anything like it, and obviously because even as a kid I remember, and it was important because it was raising all this money for Africa and stuff like that. But the main thing for me as a kid, that was mainly thanks to people like Blue Peter drumming it in, but the main thing for me too as a kid is not just I taped it off the radio so they didn't get my £2, but it was sorry Karma.
Taped it off the radio.
Was it was all these people. Even if you didn't like the musician at the time, it was such a mind blowing experience. It's like the MCU of music back then, where oh my god, they're all in the same room recording the same song, and I know that sounds weird, and obviously it was so big and successful, that it was just it reminds me of Christmas, but not because it's necessarily a Christmas song, but because, and obviously you saw the making of it on things like Blue Peter and stuff like that. It was everywhere basically that Christmas.
Yeah.
And happily so for what it achieved. But then, like I said, the thing that I love about it is just the fact that it's basically Infinity War for charity, but with musicians in the 80s in England.
I think, nowadays something like that would probably be easier to pull together because you could have online thing and all that. But it was such
have your guy email my guy.
Yeah, it was such a big thing. And I mean, obviously what followed on from that was Live Aid, which I had a chance. My mate said to me, by the way, there's this gig down in London. We can get tickets for 12 quid. Do you fancy it? And I'm like,
12 quid?
Nah. And I never went. And it was
He'll never take off.
And it was like it was Live Aid. For our generation, Live Aid and Band Aid was something special. It really, really was. And exactly what you've just said about Band Aid. I didn't tape it off the radio. I bought Soft Aid, and you got it for free on the other side. So.
That's right. I completely forgot about that.
that was my contribution. I got it on the Soft Aid tape.
See, obviously it's before social media, but I wonder if anyone who came up with the name Band-Aid actually looked up what it is in other countries. Because it's basically plasters, isn't it?
But I think one of the biggest parts for me about Live or Band-Aid, I should say, do they know it's Christmas? If I was to sort of pick a year that was just magical for me as an individual, I would pick 1985. It was. I'd started working part-time. I got my first girlfriend. It was a wonderful time. My mum and dad were still here. Life couldn't have been better. Probably in reality, I was completely oblivious to the fact that the miners were on strike and people were unemployed and Thatcher was being a complete cow. But to me, 1985 is a magical time in my life. And the whole Band-Aid thing, when I hear the sort of the drums at the start, it takes me right back to that time in my life.
You know what? That's a thing. Actually, when I hear it, that drum roll does definitely make me think Christmas.
And I think,
and Boy George's hat.
and it was before Bono became a complete cunt as well. I think he was kind of all right then. It's a shame that Freddie Mercury was never in it, because I think well, if you've watched Bohemian Rhapsody, apparently they were asked at the kind of last minute to take part in Live Aid, didn't they? But they were absent. But I think.
And then they did a second one that was done with like people like Kylie and Jason
and Bros.
Okay. And then they did it again a few years ago, about 2017 or something.
Aye, what's his name? Fucking that bloody guy out of Coldplay, whatever the fuck they're called. Not Coldplay is what they're called.
Chris Martin. He's in the Bono. Like, don't get me wrong, U2 is like one of my favourite bands, but Chris Martin's another one. He's in the smug Bono camp. I'm pretty sure they can both walk on water. They should have a race on water.
You've heard that? I don't know. Apparently it happened in Glasgow, but it's obviously a lot of bollocks about it when Bono was up on stage. And I cannot click my fingers, so you just have to imagine Bono's going ch, 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 ch. And then he goes, every time I click my fingers, another child dies. Ch, ch. And somebody in the crowd goes, well, fucking stop doing that then. I don't know whether that's true or not. It's the kind of thing that somebody in Glasgow would actually say. Yeah, that was.
Do you know what I would have shouted out? Maybe pay your taxes in Ireland then. That'll help against child poverty. He's another smug bastard with all his money in an offshore bank account, isn't he? Telling us we should all save the planet while he's globally touring.
And of course, the 1988 one, which was fucking awful, it had the lovely red-headed Sonia as well.
Yeah.
Who? Bonus
What she
point.
looks
Can
like,
you remember what song she sung again? Sonia. Jesus. I can't.
That was basically everyone from the Stockade and Waterman camp.
It was Rick Astley. Yeah.
He's got a great train set collection. You know that, don't you?
Rick Astley.
No, Stockade and Waterman.
Oh, has he?
Pete Waterman has.
That's it, really.
Because he had a bloke. I forget the other bloke was. Yeah. And so apparently it's Rod Stewart. I like to think once upon a time Rod Stewart, got for Christmas a train set instead of a Scalextrics. But unlike you, sir, it changed his life.
There you go. LFC Gamer in Vlogs says, "You'll never stop me from loving you" was the song Sonia did.
That's right. And that was probably it, wasn't it? That was most of the people on this label.
That probably was it.
There's a brilliant video on YouTube where you get to see Rick Astley on stage with Foo Fighters.
That's right. Aye, Rick Astley's actually, he's the man. I like Rick Astley. I bought 2 of his albums when they came out. Still got a great voice. Jive Bunny.
Coiffed hair. Oh, Jive Bunny. Completely forgot about that, but that's a very Christmassy memory for me.
Jive Bunny, bloody hell.
And the Master Mixers. If it's bunnies, how do you mix without opposable thumbs?
There's a thought. So well, that was, you've stolen my thunder. That was my first place. So it's back to me for my second place, and then we'll go for your first one. My second favourite has got to be the Pogues and the late and great Kirsty MacColl, Fairy Tale of New York.
That's my first.
Is it?
Yeah.
What can I say? Did we agree? Yes, so there you go. We've agreed in 2.
That properly makes me think of Christmas the first time I hear that.
Yeah. It's a raw and dirty song. It's got a great tune. It couldn't
He's
really be
pissed in it when you see it live on Top of the Pops.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I know.
Shane MacGowan. Yeah, it's a classic. It's a song. There's lots of Christmas songs that you hear and you go, I can't stand that, but it's a great song. It really is.
And it's a very untraditionally Christmas song, and I don't just mean like your traditional ones like carols and things like that, or stuff like Slade. Like you said, it's a dirty, raw song.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's the kind of song you couldn't really have anyone else trying to do it. It's got to be the Pogues, and obviously we're not going to get Kirsty MacColl back. But yeah, that's a Stonewall classic. So there you go. That's your first.
And obviously that's another one that's suffered because of the PC Brigade, hasn't it? Because it's got the word faggot in it. But it's surprisingly, world, they may not know this, that pertains to a lot of different things. And I think it means like scumbag in it, doesn't it? Down and out scumbag.
I think so. Yeah.
But obviously, BBC were there marching ever to, sanitize everything. So cannot play this on any of the radio channels. Well done, BBC, you bunch of massive dickheads.
But yeah, absolute classic. Is there any notable exceptions? Did Frankie Goes to Hollywood? Did they not do? Was it The Power of Love? Was that kind of Christmassy? That came out about Christmassy time.
I don't know. But the minute you said
something niggles me that The Power of Love was a sort of semi-Christmassy. It's not one that you hear. Sort of
obviously, there's the one from the Snowman. Walking in the air.
Which the one in the actual, what's his face, Alan Jones, he recorded it, but for whatever reason they never used that. It was some other wee dude that did it in the film. Don't know why.
That person did it, and then they released it as a single, and I think it barely broke the top 40. And then a couple of years later, Alan Jones recorded it, and it went to number 1.
Is that right? Yeah.
At least the other kid can console himself on this and say, well, at least mine made it in the bloody film.
Another one I do like is Jonah Louis, Stop the Cavalry. There's something...
I don't think I've ever heard. I've probably heard it because it's a Christmas song, but I can't off the top of my head. Why don't you give us a few verses, Al?
There's a song that my sister actually posted it on Facebook. She said, this is my favourite Christmas song. I'd never heard it. I'd never even heard of the group. And I've listened to it a couple of times, and it's a really nice Christmas song. I'm not going to play it on this, obviously. It's by a group that goes by the name of Celtic Fire. Have you heard of them?
I heard the name, but I don't think I've. Oh,
Celtic Fire. They're from Ireland. They're a group of people, but their lineup changes. Like the main guy sadly passed away, died of cancer actually. But there's a song called Christmas 1915, and it's basically about
the truce.
And the truce, yep, they came together at Christmas Eve, and I was actually down at the Imperial War Museum about 3-4 months ago, and that apparently did actually happen. In Christmas Eve, 1915, the guns stopped. They stopped fighting, and they actually met in no man's land, and they swapped cigarettes and coffee and chocolate, and I think they sang Christmas carols, and then after it they went back to their and then started killing each other again. It's by Celtic Fire. It's called Christmas 1915. Have a watch it.
I'll look it up after this.
It's got a bit of sting in the tail, but it's actually quite a. Some people will think, oh, it's just whatever it is. I don't know. I think it's really nice. Celtic Fire 1915. Have a wee look. Yeah, apparently Colin Jones said they also had a game of football.
It wasn't one truce. It was a number of truces up and down the lines, wasn't it? And where you were, it depended on what happened. And I believe some people were even shot for it because obviously it went against what they were supposed to be doing. And also in many places, the truce was just so they could bury their dead instead of leaving them out on the battlefield.
Is that right?
But amazing that it happened. And the fact that people would have been court-martialed for this by idiots miles away from the front line in a nice cozy office.
So yeah, they had a game of football apparently. I'm assuming Germany pumped England again.
Yeah, I just love the bit in Blackadder Goes Forth when they talk about the Christmas truce. Remember of course I can, Baldrick. I was not offside.
Just you mentioning Blackadder when I was doing my search on my.
I haven't watched that yet.
I was doing my search on my Fire Stick, and I don't think I've seen it. Blackadder Christmas Carol. I was going to watch it, but there was no available streams.
I've got it on
Sorry, Celtic Thunder. Sorry, I beg your pardon, 8-Bit Steve. Celtic Thunder, they're called. Celtic Thunder, Christmas 1915. Sorry, yeah, I didn't even know DVD. That was a thing.
Comes with the it'll be on at Christmas. It'll be on BBC Two guaranteed. It used to be on YouTube in 3 parts. So what you need to do is get yourself a YouTube downloader and bang it in your editing program and stitch it back together.
So I didn't even know. Is it a half an hour program? Was it?
No, I think it's probably an hour.
Aye, I'll need to watch
brilliant. That. I'm not going to give you any spoilers other than basically it's Blackadder. So I think it's not going to be your traditional Christmas Carol.
I'm assuming Baldrick's Tiny Tim, is he?
No, it's not. It's not even the story of a Christmas Carol. It's just the fact that there's not even 3 ghosts. It's just the fact that there's a ghost and they do the whole visit points of Blackadder. I mean, this is a given. It's on the back of the box. This isn't spoilers. They visit every series of Blackadder time period, if you see what I mean. So they do, apart from 1, because no one liked 1. So they do Blackadder 2, Blackadder 3. Blackadder Goes Forth wasn't out. And then so they make one up in the future where you get to see Tony Robinson in a thong and nothing else. But but they're all new clips. So they revisit the time period, but they make new clips. Brilliant.
It'll not be on YouTube, I wouldn't think. No,
it used to be, but you had to download it in 3 parts.
Aye, I'm sure I'll find it somewhere. Matt Renton's just talking about Blackadder. The third goes. Blackadder Goes Forth. Yeah, I mean the last episode is quite hard hitting, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when it fades to the poppy field now. Or then, because that's 33 years old.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing how you can take an out and out comedy, and then just start the last sort of minute. It just brings it right back home, but it really hits hard. It's
balanced it perfectly, didn't they? But was it this bit before they go out to go over the top, and he says, "Don't forget your stick, George." Oh, that's right. Wouldn't want to face a machine gun without one of these.
Aye. It's almost like the complete naivety of what they're about to go into.
I'm the late great Rick Mayall's Lord Flashheart.
Yeah, that's right.
So anyway, I jumped over the wall.
It.
I jumped over the wall. I machine gunned my telephone number into the wall and said, "I'll give you somewhere to hang your towels."
I'll need to dig that out though. But yeah, listen, the last kind of wee bit I was wanting to we can't not have this bit in. What would your favourite sort of video game type Christmas be? Was there a particular game or a Christmas?
Well, I only have one kind of real proper video game Christmas, and that would have been because I mean I had like big box Spectrum games for Christmas presents, like stuff by Ultimate Play the Game and things like that, because you only really got those at Christmas because they were so bloody expensive as a kid. You could never really afford, when you were like 8, 6 or 7, couldn't really afford an Ultimate Play the Game. I heard that their reason for making their games so expensive was to stop piracy. Surely that would just encourage it.
Where did I read that? I heard that recently, as in literally a couple of weeks ago. Where did you know about that a long time ago? Because I must have read it somewhere.
I saw it a few years ago on a Kim Justice video.
Oh, it might have been a Kim Justice video that I watched.
Or maybe it was a nostalgia. I don't know. Maybe it was one about. It was either. Well, it probably was on both. There was definitely in a video she did about the history of Ultimate Play the Game, and then maybe in another video when it was Larry Bundy Jr. Guru Larry, he did it in a video recently, which is like stupid ass ways to try and stop software.
Oh, that's what it was. It was a Larry.
Lens lock.
Yeah.
That lens lock was the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
We never had a fucking TV it worked on. But I had games here and there, but there was only had one proper complete video game Christmas. So I had Mega Drive games, Japanese Mega Drive games as well. Like my mum would get me one because obviously they were like 34 quid even then. So that would be like your main present. But
did you tell your mum what to buy, or did you give her a kind of say, look, can you maybe get that one and that one?
She gave me the money. I went and bought it from the in-shops.
Right.
But the Christmas, like the proper most video game Christmas to me, and I've talked about this on the channel loads, is when I got my Sega Master System. Got a second-hand Sega Master System. We found it a couple of months before, maybe even September, down the road in Weston, before you had sat-nav and you had to use the old, A to Z. Drove there. I can't remember how much it was, but I paid for half with my part-time job money because it was still too much for me to have as my big Christmas present. So I paid for half, and my parents paid for the other half. And I was very fortunate because it came with a couple of games, 2 control pads, and it was when the Master System had the little screw-in joysticks.
Oh, I see.
They inevitably broke, so you had to put the little cap over the top anyway. And yeah, so it had Afterburner. It was a Master System 1, had the snail maze built in, and had Wonder Boy, and it had Hang On a card. And that was a fantastic Christmas because it was just like, I got, that was my first own system outside of the Spectrum. And I remember talking my mum into it for like a night. That, Mum, we really should check this, having even already checked it at the person's house. And so she fine. So she let me, but on the condition did with my brother, she let us play it for one night after we bought it before she put it away for Christmas. But it was boxed and everything because more often than not now, if you went and bought a second-hand console off someone, or you went to Marketplace, you wouldn't get the box. No one keeps boxes, apart from me, even as a kid. But that was boxed and everything, and yeah, that was a fantastic Christmas. And that Christmas as well, my gran, because they were, the cheaper end of the games, which were the cards, she bought me My Hero, which I asked for. She said, "You want a Master System game? I can afford to buy you one of the card ones."
What did she buy you? What was the game? Sorry,
a game called My Hero, which is I think Kung Fu Master, but kiddified. It's a port of a Sega arcade game. You should do in one of your live streams. You should trust me. You'll fucking destroy your TV. It's that hard. My Hero, yeah. So in hindsight, I got that for Christmas. Could only ever get halfway through level 1. Fucking unbelievably hard game, but it didn't, detract from Christmas. But like the Master System and having that extra present as well, extra game from another family member. That's not just my best video game Christmas, but technically, well, not my own. Like I said, getting so I got DJ Boy one year on the Mega Drive, getting Mercs on the Mega Drive, the Japanese one. So Wolf of the Battlefield 2, or Commando 2, basically. That was a pretty good Christmas because obviously Mercs had the arcade port back when Mega Drive was brilliant. This I don't think they did it that much on the SNES.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go, oh, here you go. Here's a completely different version of the game we just knocked up for the home port. So you had 2 games on it. But yeah, but best overall would be Master System.
Master System. Can I ask you a question? I've always maintained that, I mean, I've got a Xbox X sitting over there. I would Series X, yeah. I would be
nice.
I would be quite, and I didn't pay. I just went on. I just kept doing refresh. I had to basket out with stock. Refresh. Put your address in. Refresh. Out with stock. Blah, blah, blah. I did it. It took me about half an hour all in to get it. Oh, there you go. Yeah. See if
I've got a Series S.
See, oh, nice. See if you didn't have. If video games technology never went beyond the Sega Master System, would you still be happy playing video games now if a new game came out today and it was on the Sega Master System? I mean, we've obviously gone on the PlayStation 2, Xbox, blah, blah, blah. Games now look super real. Would you still quite happily play video games if the latest game was on the Master System? Would you
absolutely
still be quite happy?
Ultimately, and it's something I appreciate more as an adult than I did as a kid, but ultimately it comes down to the talent and the imagination of the individual who makes it. And also, I've never kind of lost that part of my brain, which is there should be a good deal of your own imagination having to be used in a video game.
Yeah.
Plus, also, I grew up with a Spectrum, so I think I will always have that, probably like you, the Commodore 64, have that, I can get past how good something looks. But yeah, I could. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I think the whole world should have been permanently locked in 16-bit time.
I'm not taking away the fact that what you can do nowadays, you can go online and play all these things. But I would still be playing video games if we'd never gone beyond the Sega Mega Drive or the Commodore Amiga. Things have moved on, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's amazing. Boring. I'll go back and play my 8-bit machines.
Yeah.
But my again, being a bit older than yourself, I never experienced a computer Christmas purely and simply because I bought my computers myself. I never had, and I was never lucky enough to get a 2600, anything like that. So the closest I came to having a kind of video game Christmas would be when I got Astro Wars, Grandstand Astro Wars.
That would have been a big deal though back then.
It was, and I've still got it. I bought it fairly recently. It's an amazing little machine. I mean, this was like the handhelds that came before that were all very basic. They were, you had like literally middle, left, middle, right, middle. You had 3 lanes of action.
If you leaned on the screen with your finger, you could make every single position of every single thing show up. Do you remember?
You press it, I know. So the early ones were very, very basic, and then Astro Wars came along, and it was like an arcade machine. It literally was an arcade machine. I'm surprised that somebody somewhere hasn't put a Raspberry Pi into a little.
I'm surprised they haven't reissued a modern version of it with modern build standards. I mean, you could probably buy it for 20 quid then.
You can download. You can download an app. Not Star Wars. You can download an Astro Wars app. Actually, one of the other ones that I bought recently was Alec Higgins' 8-Ball, and I was watching an advert on YouTube, and
Did it come with a free couple of pints?
And a packet of cigarettes. But this came out, I don't know, 1978, and the advert actually had it £39.99. That's how much it costs back in 19 whatever it was. But yeah, Astro Wars. That blew my mind. This was a little machine. It had really loud sound. It had
game modes.
colour graphics. Yep, it had like five. I think it had 5 levels. You had different levels. You know, it had the docking sequence and that. It was an amazing, amazing game. It was the closest I was ever going to get to, you know, owning an arcade machine. Arcade machine. It was the closest I was going to ever get to kind of owning an arcade, a video or computer system. I had to wait until a couple of years later when I bought my Commodore 64. But yeah, getting Astro Wars again was bloody epic. The only downside was it took was it 4 C batteries?
Huge ones.
Not the massive ones. I can't remember. Were they not D?
No, they were D. Yeah, the ones down. They were still pretty chunky.
Yeah, the C's. As soon as you took the bottom off, the batteries would fall out because they couldn't hold the weight. The springs weren't powerful enough to hold it.
Because it's funny, I watched a video the other day where someone was comparing the original Speak and Spell. I still have the original Speak and Spell.
I've not watched it. I did see it pop up though, yeah.
And they compared it to the new one, and then it's like the new one takes 3 AA's, maybe even 2 AA's, but the old one took, like you said, something like 4 C's.
I think batteries were stupidly expensive as well back then, weren't they?
Yeah, and like you said, they lasted fuck all.
Yeah. The problem you had is my mum and dad never bought me a power adapter, and they would buy this game, and then they would get you a set of batteries, and then, well, we can't afford any other battery. You'll need to wait until next month. So you then had to go for like 4 weeks without playing it because you had nothing to use, and so you just used to, like I say, you would nick the batteries out your dad's wireless, and then what you used to do is when batteries would run out, you used to leave them. You would just leave them for a couple of days, and then they would kind of recharge.
Stick them in the airing cupboard,
and get power back in. I mean, they say nowadays never mix batteries, but you'd have all these different types of batteries.
That would be why they leak, actually, wouldn't it? Yeah, what was it? Alkaline, and what was the other one?
Oh, I don't know.
See, I love how health and safety didn't exist then. Like, no standard form, so you had 2 types of batteries that you couldn't, mix because it was dangerous. But why didn't the government come along and just say standardise all batteries must be alkaline? Then we could mix shit without worrying about burning our parents' house down.
But fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So anyway, listen, I'm going to let you've got 2 things to do tonight. You've got your Christmas Carol to watch. No, you've got is it National Lampoons you're watching?
Lampoons, and now I got Blackadder's Christmas Carol.
And you've also got Celtic Thunder, Christmas 1915. Go and check it out. So listen, guy, I want just to say thanks very much to everybody that's tuned in tonight. You've obviously got fucking nothing better to do than watch us talk shite. This is a bit of a tradition. I always enjoy it. It always helps to make my Christmas Eve. So thank you very much, Dave, for taking part.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, and I just wish everybody a really Merry Christmas, and I shall see you guys.
I do too, obviously, as well. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah, take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Till later, next time, guys. Thank you very much for watching.